The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has brought serious charges against Abubakar Malami, Nigeria's former Attorney General and Minister of Justice, in what is shaping up to be one of the most significant corruption cases to emerge from the previous administration. The anti-graft agency filed a 16-count charge before the Federal High Court in Abuja, accusing Malami of money laundering and criminal breach of trust involving billions of naira. The case centers on allegations that the former Justice Minister abused his position to amass considerable wealth through questionable property acquisitions across multiple states in Nigeria. According to documents filed by the EFCC, investigators have traced 30 properties valued at approximately 212.8 billion naira directly to Malami. These properties are scattered across several states, including Abuja, Kebbi, Kano, and Sokoto, painting a picture of extensive real estate holdings that prosecutors argue could not have been legitimately acquired on a minister's salary. The commission alleges that Malami used his influence and access to government resources to divert public funds into private property investments, essentially converting money meant for public use into personal assets. The timing of many of these acquisitions reportedly coincides with his tenure as the nation's chief law officer, raising questions about how someone in charge of upholding the law could allegedly engage in such conduct. The charges specify that Malami worked alongside accomplices to orchestrate these transactions using various corporate entities and proxy arrangements to obscure the true ownership of the properties. This method of hiding assets through shell companies and third parties is a common tactic in sophisticated financial crimes, making it harder for investigators to follow the money trail. However, the EFCC appears confident in its case, having spent considerable time piecing together financial records, property documents, and transaction histories that allegedly link these assets back to the former Attorney General. The agency's charge sheet details specific properties, their locations, and the amounts involved, showing a methodical approach to building the prosecution's case. What makes this case particularly striking is the position Malami held during the time these alleged offenses occurred. As Attorney General, he was Nigeria's top legal officer, responsible for advising the government on legal matters and prosecuting federal crimes. The irony of the nation's chief law enforcement officer now standing accused of massive financial crimes is not lost on Nigerians who have grown increasingly frustrated with corruption among public officials. Many citizens have expressed feelings that those in power often use their positions to enrich themselves, while ordinary Nigerians struggle with economic hardship, poor infrastructure, and inadequate public services. The properties in question include residential buildings, commercial complexes, and land holdings that together represent an enormous concentration of wealth. 212.8 billion naira is an astronomical sum by any measure, and prosecutors will need to demonstrate not only that Malami owns these properties, but also that he acquired them through illegal means. The burden of proof in criminal cases requires evidence beyond reasonable doubt, meaning the EFCC must present compelling documentation and testimony to secure a conviction. If you are finding this story as fascinating as we do and want to stay updated on how this case unfolds, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss an update on this developing story. Defense lawyers representing Malami are expected to challenge the allegations vigorously, likely arguing that their client acquired his wealth through legitimate business activities and investments made over many years. This is a common defense strategy in corruption cases where the accused claims that prosecutors are conflating personal business success with ill-gotten gains. However, Nigerian law places the burden on public officials to explain how they acquired assets that appear disproportionate to their known legitimate income, a principle that could work against Malami if he cannot provide satisfactory documentation of legitimate income sources for such extensive property holdings. The case also raises broader questions about accountability in Nigerian governance and whether the current administration is serious about tackling corruption among high-ranking officials from previous governments. President Bola Tinubu's administration has stated its commitment to fighting corruption, but critics often point out that prosecutions tend to be selective and sometimes appear politically motivated. Whether this case represents genuine accountability or political score settling remains a subject of debate, though the EFCC maintains it follows evidence wherever it leads, regardless of political considerations. The legal proceedings are expected to be lengthy and complex given the number of properties involved and the intricate financial transactions that prosecutors must untangle and present to the court. Each of the 16 counts will need to be proven individually with evidence showing criminal intent and actual criminal conduct. Malami has pleaded not guilty to all charges, setting the stage for what promises to be a closely watched trial that could set important precedents for how Nigeria handles corruption cases against former senior government officials. For ordinary Nigerians watching this case, it represents a test of whether the justice system can hold powerful individuals accountable regardless of their former positions. Many people have grown cynical about corruption prosecutions, having seen numerous cases drag on for years without resolution or end in acquittals despite seemingly strong evidence. This case could either reinforce that cynicism or help restore some faith in the system, depending on how it proceeds and ultimately concludes. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you believe justice will be served, or is this just another show trial that will fade away? Drop your comments below and let's discuss. And if you enjoyed this breakdown of the story, please give this video a like to help more people discover this important news.